Good morning. Bring you greetings from Crossroads Christian Ministries here in Prattville, Alabama, where Apostle Dr. Cheryl Taffel is our lead apostle and teacher. Faith Movement 2021. I just want to leave a couple of points with you all today. Will not belabor the time and have my seat. Last Sunday we learned that we should have the faith of God for the times that we're in now. And that really stuck with me, that what I got from it is that if we have the faith of God, then we as a believer can have perfect faith. We can possess perfect faith, that it allows the believer to speak just like God, and at the word, by faith, it can get total obedience from whomever or whatever we're speaking to. So if we have the faith of God, we can elicit total obedience from whatever we're speaking to or whomever we're speaking to by the power of our faith. And I believe for us to be fully operational in that faith, in the faith of God, we can't just start with the results. We can't just know, okay, if I do this, then this is what's going to happen. But to fully operate in the faith of God, we have to understand the origin to stay on track. So what that means is, I have to understand what makes God so faithful. If I understand that, then I will know how to, one, behave, and then how to position myself in this faith movement that we're experiencing in 2021. Although our Constitution, all throughout, it reminds us of the faithfulness of God. It gives us plenty of examples of where God was faithful, how he was faithful, and who he was faithful to. My focus scripture today will be straight to the point. It's coming from a declaration that was given by Paul to the Corinthian church, coming from 1 Corinthians 1 and 9. And it simply says, the only part that I want is, God is faithful. Now, what that means is that God is a righteous God. Everything about him is righteous. He's righteous in everything, in every situation. He not only makes promises, but he also fulfills his promise. And the most important thing is that God never, ever wavers from his principles. This is the faith of God. If we can possess that, then we have the power and the ability to never, ever waver from the principles of God. There's 5 attributes that God possesses that binds him to his faithfulness, that keeps God faithful, that doesn't allow God to step out of the boundaries of him being a faithful God. And because of this, we possess the faithfulness too. So the 5 things are, and I am almost done, is his omniscience. That's his ability to be all-knowing. He knows our past, he knows our present, and he knows our future. He knows every need that we possess. He also knows our desires, our frailties, and our weaknesses.
Yes.
If he didn't know everything, then he wouldn't know where to meet us at in our need. So that would make him unfaithful, because a faithful God meets the needs of his people. The second attribute that he possesses is his omnipotence. That means he's all powerful. He has all power for every situation that we face. If he didn't have all power, we may run the risk, of not being able to be helped in the time of need whenever we need it, So God has to remain all powerful. The third attribute that he possesses is his omnipresence, meaning that he can be in every place at all times, which means for the believers that we're always within his reach. And he's always within ours. If he wasn't everywhere, then we may face a situation that he can't get to us in time, or maybe it'll be out of his range. But because he is always present, there's nothing that we face that God is not there, ready and available to meet our need. The fourth attribute is his nature. What is his nature? His nature is holy, and his nature is truth. The Bible tells us in 2 Timothy 2 and 13 that he cannot deny himself, meaning that he cannot go against who he is. He is a holy God, so he can't go against his holiness. He is a truthful God, so everything that he has said, everything that he has spoken, everything that he has promised, everything he has dictated, everything he has written, he is going to do, because he is a truthful God. If he was any other way or had any other nature, then the premise of the kingdom would be false, and it would cease to exist. We would have nothing to live in. We would have nothing to stand on. The world would not exist if God's nature was not holy and it was not true. He cannot lie. That's coming from Titus 1 and 2. If he lied, then he would be in direct violation of his character. The character of God is his truth. Every promise he makes, he fulfills. The fifth and final attribute of God that binds him to his holiness is he can never change. It's called his immutability. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that's coming from Hebrew 13 and 8. If he changed, our whole life would be uncertain, and the basis of his existence would be false. Because these 5 attributes of God allows his faith to be implanted in us through belief in him, it keeps us from doing 3 things. It keeps us from becoming victims of our circumstances, victims of our conditions, victims of what we may face, victims of what may come our way. It allows us to be overcomers of that. It also causes us not to charge God foolishly. Whenever we find ourselves in situations, it causes us not to say, well, God is not who he is. God is not who he said he was. God is not this. God is not that. You know how sometimes we go blaming and we go shaming. But if we reside in the faith of God, then it'll allow us not to do that. Last thing is it keeps us from having misrepresented feelings. But most importantly, and I'm done, so it's okay. It keeps us in line with the faith movement that gives us dominion in the kingdom. Because dominion in the kingdom is important to a kingdom believer. That's why we're here. We're here to dominate. So having the faith of God allows us to do that.